The morning sun rose over New Seoul, the capital city of Terra 7. Dae-jin stood at the window of the Defense Command Center, watching the city wake up. Towers of glass and steel stretched toward the sky. Flying cars moved between buildings. Children walked to school while their parents headed to work. 10 billion people called this world home. It was humanity's greatest achievement among the stars. Dae-jin had been the colony defense commander for 5 years. It was mostly a quiet job. Terra 7 had no enemies. They traded with nearby alien species and kept to themselves. The defense force was small, just enough to handle asteroids and space debris. Nobody expected war. The alarm came without warning. Dae-jin turned from the window as every screen in the command center lit up red. His second officer, Young-ho, jumped from his chair. "Commander, we have multiple contacts entering the system. Large signatures." "Very large." Dae-jin moved to the main display. His heart sank. Dozens of ships appeared on the screen, each one bigger than anything in Terra 7's fleet. They moved in perfect formation, heading straight for the planet. "Try to contact them," Dae-jin ordered. "All frequencies. Tell them we come in peace." Young-ho worked quickly, sending messages in every known language. Standard galactic trade speech, old Earth languages, even basic mathematical sequences. The alien ships ignored everything. They just kept coming. "Sir, I'm reading weapon systems activating," another officer reported. Her voice shook. "Multiple ships are charging their main guns." Dae-jin felt ice in his stomach. This couldn't be happening. They had done nothing wrong. Terra 7 was a peaceful colony. Why would anyone attack them? "Raise all shields," he commanded. "Alert the civilian defense shelters. Get everyone underground now." Across the planet, sirens began to wail. People looked up in confusion. Many had never heard that sound before. In New Seoul, parents grabbed their children. Teachers led students to basement shelters. Hospitals began moving patients to lower levels, but it was already too late. The first orbital strike hit the eastern continent. A beam of pure energy cut through the atmosphere and struck the city of Incheon. In 1 second, 3 million people simply stopped existing. The explosion could be seen from space. A mushroom cloud rose into the sky. Dae-jin watched his screens in horror. Before he could give another order, more strikes came. Busan, Daegu, Gwangju. One by one, cities vanished in fire. The shields lasted only seconds against such power. Terra 7's defense satellites tried to fight back, but they were toys compared to these warships. "Get a message to Earth," Dae-jin shouted. "Tell them we're under attack. Tell them everything." In the southern district of New Seoul, Minji was working in the communications center when the attack began. She was an engineer, responsible for maintaining the long-range transmitters that connected Terra 7 to Earth. The journey for messages took weeks, but they were humanity's lifeline to home. Minji heard the explosions. Through the window, she saw fire on the horizon. Her hands moved on instinct, entering commands into her console. She had to warn Earth. She had to let them know what was happening. Her daughter called her. "Mom, where are you?" "The sirens are going. I'm scared." "I'm at work, baby," Minji said, fighting to keep her voice steady. "Go to the shelter at your school. I'll come get you soon." It was a lie. Minji knew she wouldn't make it. The communication center was above ground, exposed. But Earth had to know. Someone had to tell them. She activated every camera she could access. Traffic cameras, news cameras, security feeds. She created a single broadcast and aimed it at Earth. The transmission would take 18 days to arrive, but it would get there. "This is Terra 7, she said into the microphone. "We are under attack by unknown forces." They gave no warning. They refused all contact. "They are killing everyone." Another explosion rocked the building. Minji kept recording. She showed the ships in orbit. She showed the burning cities. She showed people running through streets as fire rained from the sky. 10 billion people live here, she continued. Her voice broke. 10 billion human beings. They're murdering all of us. Please, someone has to know. Someone has to remember we were here. Through her window, Minji saw a bright light growing. One of the alien ships was directly above the communication center. Its main gun was charging. She had maybe 30 seconds. She thought of her daughter. She thought of her husband. She thought of all the small, beautiful moments of their lives together. Birthday parties, family dinners, watching the sunset from their apartment. All of it was about to end. "Tell everyone we loved them," Minji said. "Tell them we tried to—" The transmission ended in static. The massacre continued for 6 hours. The alien ships were thorough. They destroyed every city, every town, every settlement. They hunted down evacuation ships and blew them apart. They turned forests into ash and boiled the oceans. When emergency bunkers proved too strong for energy weapons, they dropped kinetic strikes that shattered mountains. By the time the sun set on Terra 7, nothing lived. 10 billion voices went silent. Children who would never grow up. Parents who died trying to protect their families. Elderly who had come to Terra 7 to see humanity reach for the stars. All gone, the alien fleet gathered in orbit. They scanned the dead world one final time, making sure nothing survived. Then they broadcast a single message toward known space. The translation came through cold and clear. This world belonged to the Valtharan Empire. The humans who settled here violated our territorial claims. This is the punishment for those who defy Valthar. Let all species learn from this example. The ships left as quickly as they came. They jumped to faster than light speed and vanished, leaving behind only ruins and silence. Terra 7 drifted in space, a tomb for 10 billion dead. The planet that had been green and blue now showed only brown and gray. Smoke covered everything. Fires burned in the wreckage. No lights shone in the darkness. No signals came from the surface. It was over. But 18 days later, Minji's message reached Earth. In the command center on Earth, technicians received the transmission. They played it on the main screen. Everyone stopped working. They watched in silence as Minji showed them the attack. They saw the ships. They saw the destruction. They saw the fear in her eyes as she tried to warn them before she died. When the transmission ended, nobody spoke. The silence stretched for long minutes. Then someone started crying. Then another. Soon the entire room was in tears. The technicians sent the recording to the United Earth Council. The council sent it to every government. Those governments sent it to news agencies. Within hours, every screen on Earth showed Minji's final message. The world watched. They saw the children running. They saw the explosions. They saw cities burning, and they understood. 10 billion people, half of all humans who lived beyond Earth, dead in a single day, murdered without mercy or warning. That night, Earth changed. The grief was like nothing humanity had ever known. But beneath the tears, something else grew. Something cold and hard and angry. The Valtharans had made a terrible mistake. They thought they were teaching humanity a lesson. They thought they were showing their strength. Instead, they had started a war they could never win. The funeral lasted 3 days. Every city on Earth held memorial services. Billions of people gathered in streets and squares. They lit candles. They held pictures of loved ones who died on Terra 7, parents who lost children, children who lost parents, friends, brothers, sisters. Nearly everyone on Earth knew someone who died. In Tokyo, an old man stood before a shrine with his grandson's photo. The boy had been only 7 years old. In Lagos, a woman wept for her sister's entire family. In Buenos Aires, students painted a massive mural showing the faces of the dead. 10 billion faces. It covered an entire wall, and still it wasn't enough space. The news played Minji's transmission over and over. The world couldn't look away. They watched her try to warn them. They watched her die trying to save others. She became a symbol. The woman who used her last moments to protect Earth. On the 4th day, the United Earth Council gathered for an emergency session. President Hyunwoo called the meeting to order. His face was gray with exhaustion. He hadn't slept since receiving the news. None of them had. "We are here to decide humanity's response to the Terra 7 massacre," Hyunwoo said. His voice was quiet but steady. 10 billion of our people were murdered. The Valtharan Empire has declared this was punishment for violating their territory. They have threatened further action if we do not withdraw from all disputed space. Ambassador Somin stood. She was known for her diplomatic skills, for finding peaceful solutions. "We must be careful," she said. "The Valtharans are a galactic empire. They control hundreds of worlds. Their military is vast. If we fight them, we will lose. Earth itself could be destroyed." She looked around the room. "I know everyone is angry, I am too. But we have to think about the billions still alive. We should seek allies among other species, build a coalition, use diplomatic pressure, make the Valtharans pay through isolation and sanctions." Several council members nodded. It was the reasonable approach. The smart approach. The safe approach. Then Admiral Jiwan stood. She commanded Earth's combined fleet. Her uniform was perfectly pressed, but her eyes burned with something fierce. With respect, Ambassador, that approach is worthless. The room went quiet. The Valtharans killed 10 billion humans, Juwan continued. They did it in 6 hours. They hunted down children. They destroyed hospitals. They showed no mercy because they believe we are beneath them. They see us as insects to be crushed when we become inconvenient. She pulled up a display showing the Valtharan Empire's territory. It covered vast sections of the galaxy. This empire has existed for thousands of years. They have destroyed dozens of species. Some they enslaved. Others they wiped out completely. They follow one rule: might makes right. If you're strong, you matter. If you're weak, you die. Jiwan changed the display. Now it showed Earth's military forces, ships, weapons, soldiers. We are not weak. We've been hiding our strength, but it's time to show what humanity can do. President Hyunwoo leaned forward. What are you proposing, Admiral? Total war, Jiwan said simply. We destroy the Valtharan Empire completely. We make them pay for every single death. We make sure no species ever treats humanity as insignificant again. The room erupted. Half the council shouted in agreement. The other half protested. Ambassador Salman's voice rose above the chaos. That's insane. We can't defeat an entire empire. Actually, we can, said a new voice. Dr. Hyan entered the chamber. He was the director of Advanced Weapons Research, a division so secret that most council members didn't know it existed. He looked tired but determined. For 20 years, we've been preparing for this exact scenario, Hyun explained. He brought up classified files. We knew humanity would eventually encounter hostile aliens. We've been developing weapons specifically designed to fight a superior force. He showed them designs, ships that could move invisibly through space, bombs that could crack planets, weapons that turned stars into guns, technology that seemed impossible. This is Project Oblivion, Hyun said. A complete military strategy for destroying an empire-level threat. It will cost us everything. Millions will die. Our economy will collapse, but the Valtharan Empire will cease to exist. Ambassador Soman stared at the screens. This is madness. We're talking about genocide. Billions of Valtharans will die. They killed our billions first, Jiwan replied coldly. They started this. We're going to finish it. The debate raged for hours. Some argued for peace. Others demanded blood. The council was split down the middle. President Hyunwoo listened to everything. He was the one who had to make the final call. Finally, he stood. The room fell silent. I lost my nephew on Terra 7, Hyunwoo said quietly. He was 12 years old. He wanted to be a pilot. He sent me messages every week telling me about school, about his friends, about the stars he could see from his bedroom window. His voice cracked. The Valtharans killed him while he was probably hiding under his desk at school, terrified and crying for his parents. They killed him because they thought humans don't matter, because they believed we would accept this, because they were sure we were too weak to fight back. Hyunwoo looked at each council member. They were wrong. We will not accept this. We will not bow down. We will not let 10 billion murders go unanswered. He turned to Jiwan and Hyan. Prepare Operation Oblivion. Give me a war plan. Already done, sir, Jiwan said. She brought up detailed files. Phase 1 begins with stealth attacks on isolated Valtharan outposts. We hit them hard and fast, destroy everything, then disappear. This will force them to spread their forces thin, trying to protect all their territory. Phase 2 is defense, Hyan added. They'll retaliate against Earth. We'll be ready. We've turned the Sol system into a fortress. Phase 3 is total offensive, Jiwan continued. We strike everywhere at once. Destroy their infrastructure. Free their slaves. Turn their empire into chaos. And Phase 4? Hyunwoo asked. Jiwan's smile was cold. We destroy their homeworld. Valthar Prime. We make sure their species never forgets what happens when you murder 10 billion humans. Ambassador Soman stood one more time. I beg you to reconsider. Think about what will become. Think about the cost. I have thought about it, Hyunwoo said. The cost of doing nothing is worse. If we let this stand, every species in the galaxy will see us as victims, as prey. More attacks will come. The cost of fighting is terrible, but the cost of surrender is extinction. He called for a vote. All in favor of commencing Operation Oblivion? Hands rose. One by one, every council member voted yes. Even Ambassador Soman, tears streaming down her face, raised her hand. The vote was unanimous. President Hyunwoo addressed Earth that evening. Every human alive watched. Every screen showed his face. "My fellow humans," he began. "4 days ago, the Valtharan Empire murdered 10 billion of our people. They killed our children. They destroyed our hope. They thought we were weak. They thought we would accept this horror and hide." His voice grew stronger. "They were wrong. Today, the United Earth Council voted unanimously to declare total war on the Valtharan Empire. We will not rest until they pay for every life they took. We will not stop until their empire is ash. We will show the galaxy what happens when you anger Earth." He paused. "This will be hard. Many more will die. We will sacrifice everything. But we will win, because we are humanity, because we remember, because 10 billion of our people cry out for justice, and we will answer. Today, we commence Operation Oblivion. The Valtharans wanted to teach us a lesson. Now we'll teach them one: never touch Earth." The speech ended. Across the planet, military bases activated. Shipyards went into overdrive. Factories retooled for weapon production. Every human who could fight volunteered. Old soldiers came out of retirement. Young people enlisted by the millions. Humanity was going to war, and the galaxy would never be the same. 6 months after Terra 7 died, the Valtharan Empire continued as if nothing had changed. Their news broadcasts mocked humanity's declaration of war. Their military commanders laughed at Earth's threats. They had destroyed civilizations before. What was one more? In the Kelvar system, Outpost Kelvar 9 served as a regional command center. 30 Valtharan warships orbited the main station. Thousands of soldiers lived there. It was a symbol of their power, a fortress that controlled 12 nearby systems. The Valtharans felt completely safe. Their sensors watched all approaches to the system. Nothing could reach them without warning, or so they thought. Deep in the darkness between stars, 12 human ships drifted in silence. They had been traveling for 6 months, moving slowly through empty space. No engines running, no signal sent, just cold metal floating in the void. Captain Junho commanded the lead ship. He sat in the darkened bridge, watching his screens. Around him, his crew worked in whispers. They had trained for this mission for years, but training was different from reality. This was real. This was war. "Distance to target?" Junho asked quietly. 2 million kilometers, his navigator Sunho replied. "We're in the dead zone. Their sensors can't detect us." The dead zone was humanity's secret weapon. Dr. Hyon's team had developed graviton drives that bent space around the ships. To sensors, they looked like empty space. To the naked eye, they were invisible. The Valtharans had no idea anything was coming. "All ships, this is Junho," he transmitted on the secure channel. "Activate weapon systems. Prepare for attack on my mark." Across the fleet, weapons came online. Kinetic cannons charged. Missile tubes opened. Each ship carried enough firepower to destroy a planet. And all of it was aimed at Kelvar 9. Junho thought about Terra 7. He thought about the 10 billion dead. His sister had lived there with her family. 3 children. The oldest was 8. They died screaming as their city burned. "For Terra 7, Junho whispered. Then louder, "All ships, fire everything." The Ghost Fleet attacked. Relativistic missiles shot forward at 90% light speed. Each one was simply a chunk of tungsten accelerated to incredible velocity. They hit Kelvar 9's shields with the force of nuclear bombs. The shields lasted 3 seconds before collapsing. The station exploded. One moment it was there, a massive structure in space. The next moment it was debris. Thousands of Valtharans died before they even knew they were under attack. The Valtharan warships reacted quickly. Alarms screamed, shields activated, weapons turned toward the invisible attackers. But they couldn't see what they were shooting at. Junho's ship fired its main gun. The antimatter torpedo moved too fast to dodge. It struck a Valtharan cruiser amidships and detonated. The matter-antimatter reaction tore the ship apart from the inside. The explosion consumed 2 nearby vessels. "Targets locked," Sunho reported. "Firing drones." Thousands of small drones launched from the human ships. Each one was smart, fast, and deadly. They scattered across the battlefield like angry insects. Some attached to Valtharan ships and burned through their hulls. Others flew into engine ports and detonated inside. The Valtherans tried shooting them down, but there were too many. A Valtheran admiral managed to get a message out before his ship exploded. "We're under attack. Unknown enemy. They're invisible. They're everywhere. We need—" His transmission ended in static. The battle lasted 20 minutes. 30 Valtharan warships destroyed. The station gone. Every satellite and beacon eliminated. The Ghost Fleet didn't leave survivors. They couldn't. This had to be total. When the last Valtharan ship exploded, Junho surveyed the damage. The Kelvar system was now a graveyard. Debris floated everywhere. Bodies drifted in the vacuum. It was horrible and necessary. "Captain, should we leave now?" Sunho asked. "Not yet," Junho said. "We have one more thing to do." He brought up the communication system. This time he broadcast on all frequencies. He made sure every species in range could receive the message. He wanted the whole galaxy to hear. "This is Captain Junho of the Earth Expeditionary Force," he said. His voice was calm and cold. 6 months ago, the Valtharan Empire murdered 10 billion humans at Terra 7. They thought we would accept this. They thought we were weak. Today we destroyed Kelvar 9. Every Valtharan ship, every Valtharan soldier, everything. He showed footage of the battle, the explosions, the destruction, the complete annihilation of Valtharan forces. "This is only the beginning," Junho continued. "We will hunt the Valtharans across the galaxy. We will destroy every outpost. We will burn every ship. We will show no mercy because they showed us none. This is what happens when you kill our children. This is what Earth does to its enemies." He ended the transmission and turned to his crew. "Take us to the next target. We have work to do." The Ghost Fleet vanished back into the darkness of space, leaving behind only silence and death. The message reached the Galactic Council 3 days later. Representatives from hundreds of species gathered to watch the recording. They saw the Kelvar 9 attack. They saw the devastation. Many were shocked. Some were frightened. Others were secretly satisfied. The Valtharans had been bullies for centuries. They conquered weaker species and enslaved them. They took what they wanted and destroyed anyone who resisted. Many species hated them but were too afraid to fight back. Now Earth was fighting, and Earth was winning. Ambassador Soman represented humanity at the council. She stood before the gathered aliens and spoke clearly. "The Valtharans committed genocide against our people. They murdered 10 billion innocent civilians. We asked for justice. The council did nothing, so we will deliver justice ourselves." A Valtharan representative stood, his face twisted with rage. "You primitive savages! You dare attack the Empire? We will crush your pathetic planet. We will make Terra 7 look merciful compared to what we'll do to Earth." Soman stared at him without fear. "You're welcome to try, but remember you couldn't see us coming at Kelvar 9. You won't see us coming anywhere else either. Your empire is vast, but you can't protect everything, and we're very patient, very thorough, and very, very angry." The Valtharan stormed out of the chamber. Many other species watched him go with mixed feelings. Some worried about the war spreading. Others hoped Earth would keep winning. The council debated intervention. Should they try to stop the war? Should they help one side? Should they stay neutral? The arguments went in circles. Finally, they decided to do nothing. This was between Earth and Valthar. Let them settle it themselves. Back on Valthar Prime, the Valtharan High Command received the news from Kelvar 9. Grand Admiral Velkros, their greatest military leader, studied the footage carefully. He watched the invisible ships. He watched the advanced weapons. He watched 30 of his best ships die in 20 minutes. "How is this possible?" he asked his staff. "Humans are primitive. They barely have space travel. How do they have technology we've never seen?" Nobody had answers. Earth had been hiding its capabilities. The Valtharans had dismissed humanity as unimportant, not worth studying carefully. That mistake was now costing them. Velkros made his decision. "Assemble the Grand Fleet, 300 ships. We will go to Earth and destroy it. Once their homeworld is ash, their resistance will collapse." His officers cheered. 300 ships. It was the largest fleet the Valthorans had assembled in a century. Surely no species could stand against such power. Velcros wasn't cheering. He had watched the Kelvar 9 footage a dozen times. Something about the human attack bothered him. It wasn't just the technology. It was the attitude. The humans fought with cold efficiency. No hesitation, no mercy. Just brutal, calculated destruction. These were not the actions of a desperate species. These were the actions of predators who knew exactly what they were doing. But the decision was made. The Grand Fleet would launch in 2 months. 300 ships would travel to Earth. They would show humanity the price of defying the Empire. Velcros hoped it would be enough. Deep down, he suspected it wouldn't be. But orders were orders. The Empire demanded blood for blood. What the Empire didn't know was that Earth was ready. Admiral Jiwan had spent 6 months preparing for exactly this response. The trap was set. All that remained was for the Valthorans to walk into it, and they would. Because the Empire never backed down. Because they couldn't imagine losing. Because pride would always overcome caution. The Ghost Fleet continued its work, striking target after target. Each attack was perfect. Each battle ended in complete Valtharan defeat. More outposts fell. More ships died. The Empire began pulling forces back from frontier systems to protect core worlds. Everything was going according to plan. Earth was drawing the Empire's attention, forcing them to concentrate their forces, making them angry enough to launch a massive counterattack. Soon, very soon, the Grand Fleet would arrive at Earth, and humanity would show the galaxy what real warfare looked like. The Valtharan Grand Fleet arrived at the edge of the Sol system like an approaching storm. 300 warships, each one a floating fortress bristling with weapons. Grand Admiral Velcro stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching Earth appear on the distant screens. "This is it," he said to his officers. "The human homeworld. Today we end this war." His intelligence report said Earth had fewer than 80 warships for defense. The humans were outnumbered nearly 4-1. By any measure, this should be an easy victory. Yet Velcros felt uneasy. The humans had been too clever so far. Too prepared. This felt too simple. "Send scouts ahead," he ordered. "I want detailed scans of everything before we advance." On Earth, Admiral Jiwan received the alert. "The Valtharans have entered the system," her tactical officer reported. 300 ships, just as predicted. "They're sending scouts forward," Jiwan smiled. Everything was going exactly as planned. "Let the scouts through. Let them see what they expect to see." "Commander Siak, are your positions ready?" At Mars orbit, Commander Siak checked his displays. Around him floated what looked like research stations and mining platforms. Dozens of them, all appearing completely normal. The Valtharans would scan them and see civilian structures. Nothing threatening. Nothing military. "All platforms ready, Admiral," Siak confirmed. "The camouflage is holding. They can't tell what these really are." "Good," Jiwan said. "Remember, wait for my signal." Not 1 second before. The Valtharan scouts moved through the system. They scanned planets. They scanned moons. They found Earth's defense fleet exactly where they expected it, clustered near Earth itself. 75 ships, older models. Nothing impressive. The scouts reported back to Velcros. "Sir, minimal resistance. Their fleet is small and outdated. We detect defensive satellites around Earth, but nothing we can't handle. Those platforms near Mars appear to be civilian infrastructure." Velcros studied the data. It looked accurate. But something still bothered him. Where were the invisible ships that destroyed Kelvar 9? Where was the advanced technology humans had displayed? Maybe Earth had sent all their best ships away on raids. Maybe this really would be easy. Velcros made his decision. "All ships advance. Formation Delta. We'll overwhelm their defenses quickly, then bombard the planet. I want this over in hours." The Grand Fleet moved forward. 300 ships advancing together, confident in their power. They passed Mars, barely giving the research stations a second glance. They focused on Earth, on the small fleet waiting for them there. Siak watched the Valtharans pass his position. They were now between Mars and Earth, exactly where Jiwan wanted them. He waited, every muscle tense. The Valtharan fleet moved deeper into the trap. "Admiral, they're at optimal position," Jiwan's tactical officer reported. Jiwan took a deep breath. This was it. Everything depended on the next few minutes. Commander Siak, activate the Mars platforms. All ships execute Sol Gambit now. Suk pressed the activation command. Around Mars, dozens of research stations transformed. Panels fell away. Hidden weapons emerged. The civilian platforms revealed themselves as massive military installations. Fire, Siak ordered. Railguns opened up. Each platform carried weapons that could launch projectiles at incredible speeds. Tungsten rods the size of cars flew through space faster than missiles. They had no engines, no way to track them. Just pure kinetic energy moving at hypersonic velocity. The first wave hit the rear of the Valtharan fleet. Ships exploded. Shields couldn't stop solid matter moving that fast. The tungsten rods punched through armor like paper. Internal explosions rippled through ship after ship. We're under attack from Mars, a Valtharan captain screamed. They're not research stations. They're weapons platforms. Velcro spun around. On his screens, he watched his rear guard disintegrate. Already 20 ships destroyed. How had they hidden such weapons? The scans showed nothing. All ships evasive action. Return fire on those platforms. But before the Valtharans could respond, Earth's defense fleet attacked. The 75 ships charged forward. And they weren't old models at all. The human ships were fast, agile, and deadly. They dove into the Valtharan formation like sharks. Lieutenant Hana led the bomber squadrons. Her fighter was small but packed with quantum disruption warheads. She flew through the chaos of battle, dodging enemy fire. Her squadron followed her lead, weaving between Valtharan capital ships. Target the big one, Hana called to her pilots. The ship with extra armor. That's their command vessel. They dove toward Velcros's flagship. Point defense cannons tried to shoot them down, but the human fighters were too fast. Hana released her warhead and pulled up hard, feeling the G-forces crush her into her seat. The quantum warhead hit the flagship's shield. It didn't just explode. It created a cascade reaction that disrupted the shield generator's harmonics. The shield collapsed. Before it could recharge, 3 more warheads hit the ship's hull. Explosions rippled across Velcros's flagship. Systems failed. Fire spread through corridors. Velcros grabbed his command chair as the ship shook. Damage report! Shields down. Hull breaches on multiple decks. The quantum weapons are creating chain reactions in our power cores. This was bad. Worse than bad. The Valtharans were supposed to be technologically superior, but these humans were using weapons the Empire had never encountered. Every hit caused devastating secondary damage. More human bombers swarmed through the fleet. Each quantum warhead destroyed not just the target, but damaged nearby ships as the power cores exploded. The Valtharans tried to maintain formation, but panic spread. Ship captains began acting independently, trying to survive rather than following orders. Then Dr. Hyon activated his masterpiece. Around the sun, hidden satellites came online. They were focusing arrays, massive mirrors and magnetic field generators that had been built in secret over 5 years. Together, they could collect solar radiation and direct it anywhere in the system. Sol array is active, Hyon reported from his control center. Targeting solution locked, firing. A beam of concentrated sunlight lanced across space. It was pure energy, bright as a star, hot enough to melt metal instantly. The beam swept through the Valtharan fleet like a sword through silk. Ships simply vaporized. Shields offered no protection against stellar radiation focused to that intensity. Dozens of Valtharan vessels became clouds of plasma. Survivors watched in horror as their comrades died in fire. What is that? Velcros screamed. How are they weaponizing a star? Nobody had answers. This was beyond anything the Empire knew. The humans hadn't just matched Valtharan technology. They had exceeded it in ways that seemed impossible. Siak pressed his advantage. The Mars platforms fired continuously. Hana's bombers struck target after target. Juwan's main fleet hit the Valtharans from every angle. And the Sol array swept through them again, cutting more ships in half. The battle became a massacre. The Valtharans tried to retreat, but the humans were everywhere. They had planned this perfectly. Every escape route was covered. Every tactical move anticipated. Velcros watched 300 ships become 200, then 100, then 50. His proud grand fleet was dying. All his confidence, all his certainty turned to ash. All ships full retreat, he ordered. Jump to light speed immediately. Get out of this system. Those ships that could still move turned and ran. They jumped to faster than light travel without waiting for proper formation. 12 ships made it out. 12 from 300. Velcros's damaged flagship was among them. As he jumped away, his last view of the Sol system showed hundreds of debris fields. So many dead, so much lost, and Earth's ships weren't even damaged. On Earth, Jawan watched the Valtharans flee. Her crew cheered. They had won. The Grand Fleet was destroyed. The greatest military force the Valtharan Empire could assemble had been crushed in 3 hours. But Jiwan didn't cheer. She knew what came next. All ships begin recovery operations, she ordered. Rescue any human pilots, search for intact technology we can study, and prepare for Phase 3. President Hyunwoo contacted her from the surface. Admiral, you've given us an incredible victory. The galaxy is watching. They saw what happened here. Good, Jiwan said. Let them watch. Let them see what Earth does to those who attack us. Because Phase 3 starts tomorrow. We're taking the war to them. Across known space, the battle footage spread. Every species saw the Sol Gambit. They watched 300 Valtharan ships destroyed by fewer than 80 human vessels. They saw the weapons platforms, the quantum warheads, the Sol array. The message was clear. Earth wasn't just defending itself. Earth was demonstrating superiority. The humans weren't primitive. They were dangerous. Very dangerous. On Valthar Prime, Velcros delivered his report to the High Command. He described the battle, the losses, the impossible human weapons, the complete defeat. The room fell silent. The Empire had sent its greatest fleet, and Earth had destroyed it easily. What do we do now? Someone asked. Nobody had an answer. For the first time in 1,000 years, the Valtharan Empire was afraid. Earth didn't wait for the Valtharans to recover. The day after the Sol system victory, Admiral G1 launched Phase 3. 70 human fleets jumped to light speed simultaneously, each one heading for a different Valtharan system. The war was no longer defensive. Now it was total. Captain Junho's Ghost Fleet struck first, attacking 3 systems in one day. The Valtharans never saw them coming. Junho had refined his tactics after months of raids. His ships would appear without warning, destroy everything in orbit, then vanish before reinforcements arrived. It was efficient, brutal, and terrifying. At the Morvan colony, Junho watched his screens as the last Valtharan defense station exploded. Below, on the planet's surface, millions of aliens looked up at their sky and saw their protectors die. These weren't Valtharans. They were a species the Empire had conquered centuries ago, forced into slavery. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the surface, Sunho reported. The local population is asking if we're here to conquer them too. Junho considered. This was new territory. Earth hadn't planned for managing conquered worlds. They just wanted to destroy Valtharan military power. But these slaves could be useful. Tell them we're not conquerors, Junho said. Tell them Earth is at war with the Valtharan Empire. If they want freedom, now is the time to take it. We'll give them weapons and training. What they do after is up to them. The transmission was sent. On Morvan, the enslaved population received weapons, supplies, and most importantly, hope. When Junho's fleet left, rebellion was already spreading. The small Valtharan occupation force wouldn't last long. This pattern repeated across dozens of worlds. Commander Taehyung specialized in ground operations. His forces would arrive at labor camps and mining colonies where the Valtharans forced conquered species to work. Taehyung would eliminate the guards, free the prisoners, and offer them a choice. Join us and fight, Taehyung told them, or take your freedom and go home. But know this, the Valtharan Empire is falling. Soon they won't be able to protect any of their territory. If you want revenge for what they did to you, this is your chance, many joined. Earth suddenly had allies, species who had suffered under Valtharan rule and wanted payback. They knew the Empire's systems. They knew where bases were hidden. They knew the weak points. And they were hungry for freedom. The Valtharan Empire began to fracture. Their military was spread across hundreds of systems, trying to defend everything. But Earth's attacks came from nowhere and everywhere. The Ghost Fleet would hit one system. Then an hour later, another fleet attacked somewhere else. The Valtharans couldn't predict where humans would strike next. Engineer Jisoo developed new weapons as the war continued. Her team had been working on something terrible, a weapon that made the quantum warheads look gentle. They called it the Planet Cracker. It's a missile that burrows into a planet's crust, Jisoo explained to Admiral Jiwan. Then it detonates deep underground, triggering tectonic collapse. The planet literally tears itself apart. Earthquakes, volcanoes. The atmosphere burns. Nothing survives. Jiwan stared at the weapon designs. It was horrifying. A way to kill entire worlds. Do we really need this? The Valtharans killed Terra 7, Jisoo said quietly. 10 billion people. They have to know we can do the same to them. Mutually assured destruction. If they ever think about attacking another human world, they need to know we can retaliate completely. Ji-won authorized production. She prayed they wouldn't need to use it. But she suspected they would. The war continued for 18 months. The Valtharan Empire, which had stood for thousands of years, collapsed system by system. Their subject species rebelled. Their supply lines were cut. Their fleets were destroyed piecemeal, unable to concentrate forces against Earth's mobile strike groups. The Galactic Council watched in amazement. Some species celebrated the Empire's fall. Others worried about what Earth would become. A species that could destroy an empire in less than 2 years was dangerous. What would they do next? Ambassador Summon worked to manage Earth's reputation. She met with other species explaining humanity's position. We didn't want this war. The Valtharans started it by committing genocide. We're finishing it. Once the Valtharan Empire is gone, we'll stop. We're not conquerors. We just want justice, some believed her. Others remained suspicious. Earth had shown itself to be militarily superior to any known species. That kind of power was frightening. Finally, after 18 months of warfare, Admiral Ji-won's fleet arrived at Valthar Prime, the Empire's homeworld, where billions of Valtharans lived. The seat of their ancient civilization. The last major target. The planet's orbital defenses were impressive. Hundreds of weapons platforms, dozens of defense stations. The remains of the Valtharan fleet, pulled back to protect their homeworld. It was the strongest defensive position in the Empire. Ji-won studied the scans. It's not enough. They've designed these defenses for conventional warfare. They're still not prepared for what we can do. Dr. Hyon had come personally for this battle. He brought the prototype entropy bomb, a weapon his team had been developing for years. It was based on theoretical physics that most species thought impossible. The bomb creates a localized field where entropy increases exponentially, Hyon explained. Time doesn't speed up, but decay does. Metal corrodes. Energy disperses. Complex systems fall apart into simpler components. Eventually, everything breaks down to basic atoms. He looked at the planet on the screen. Against the defense fleet, it will simply dissolve them. Ships will fall apart like rust. It's a clean death if there is such a thing. Deploy it, Ji-won ordered. The entropy bomb launched. It was small, easy to miss on sensors. The Valtharans tried to shoot it down, but it was too fast. The bomb reached the center of their defensive fleet and detonated. Nothing exploded. There was just a sphere of distorted space. And within that sphere, ships began to decay. Metal corroded in seconds. Hulls developed holes. Systems failed. The ships didn't explode or burn. They just fell apart, breaking down into their component elements. Crew members inside died instantly as the entropy field passed through them. Their complex biology simplified. Organic compounds separated. In seconds, there were no bodies left. Just atoms drifting in space. The entire defense fleet was gone in 5 minutes. The weapons platform suffered the same fate. Valthar Prime's orbital defenses simply ceased to exist. The Valtharan government sent a desperate transmission. We surrender. Please no more. We'll give you anything. Territory, resources, technology. Just stop! Ji-won received the message. She thought about Terra 7, about Minji's final transmission, about 10 billion dead humans, about children who died screaming, about families burned together. No, she said simply. Lieutenant Hana led the final strike. She piloted the lead bomber carrying the Planet Cracker missiles. Her squadron followed her down through Valthar Prime's atmosphere. Below she could see cities. Billions of Valtharans looking up, knowing what was coming. Hana thought about her brother. He had died on Terra 7 with his wife and 2 daughters, ages 4 and 6. The Valtharans gave them no mercy. No last words. No chance to say goodbye. She armed the Planet Crackers. 6 missiles, each one targeted for a different tectonic plate. They would burrow deep and detonate simultaneously. The planet would tear itself apart. For Terra 7, Hana whispered. She released the missiles. They fell toward the planet. The Valtharans couldn't stop them. Nothing could stop them now. The missiles buried themselves deep into the crust. Then they detonated. Valthar Prime shook. Earthquakes rippled across continents. Volcanoes erupted. The tectonic plates shifted violently. Cities collapsed. Oceans boiled. The atmosphere ignited as underground gases were released. From orbit, Jiwan watched a planet die. It took hours. Slow, agonizing destruction as Valthar Prime tore itself apart. Billions died. An ancient civilization ended in fire. When it was over, Valthar Prime was a broken rock. No life remained. The Valtharan Empire's homeworld was gone, just like Terra 7 G1 broadcast to the surviving Valtharan colonies. This is Admiral G1 of Earth. Your empire is destroyed. Your homeworld is gone. Let this be a lesson to every species in the galaxy. You killed 10 billion humans. We killed your world. Never again will anyone dismiss humanity as weak. Never again will anyone murder our people without facing total destruction. The broadcast ended. The war was over. 5 years later, Commander Taehyung stood on Terra 7. The planet was still dead, but humans had built a memorial. A massive wall bearing 10 billion names. Every person who died was remembered here. Taehyung ran his fingers over the names. He found his wife and daughter among them. The pain never went away. The memorial didn't bring them back. But it mattered that they were remembered. Admiral G1 had retired after the war. She lived quietly on Earth, haunted by what she had done. Millions of humans died in the fighting. The Valtharan Empire was destroyed, but the cost had been terrible. She wondered sometimes if they had become monsters themselves. President Soman now led Earth's government. She worked to rebuild relationships with other species, to show that humanity could be more than warriors. It was difficult. Many species feared Earth now. They saw humans as the species that destroyed an empire. Dr. Jisoo continued developing weapons. Because the galaxy was still dangerous, the Valtharans were gone, but other threats existed. Earth had to stay strong.